phenomenal, legendary, and blessed morning, noon, night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to a Mustard Seed Movement, and I'm Dracia. So, we just gonna roll right into this thing. I was having a conversation with my niece. You're gonna hear about my niece a lot because she and I are always talking. And just for the record, we have a running joke that we are tangent queens. So if this video goes a little long, sorry, it's in my nature. Anyway, so I've been really thinking and talking about communication. I've been paying attention to how people communicate, and I recall one of my aunts, Auntie Debbie, telling us that listening is a skill. And she's right. And so when I think about communication, I feel like more often on a surface level, because depending on what arena you're in, people do have a better understanding of what communication is and what it looks like. However, most of the time when people are like, I'm a great communicator, or communication is key, you hear a lot in relationship aspects that communication is key. Communication is key. What I feel that people fail to realize is that, yes, communication is key. And part of the makeup of communication is not just about how you talk. It's not just about, excuse me, what you say. It's also about listening. What do you hear? What do you understand? What do you comprehend? And are you able to move forward into action with the communication, with the ability of listening that you have, right? And I'm probably not even saying that right, and that's okay. So when me and my niece were having this conversation, I was telling her I'm really realizing how important listening really is. And that I believe that in communication, sometimes we get it wrong, especially in relationship, because most of the time when we're communicating, we're the ones wanting to be heard. And when I say we, it's the one with the grievance. It could be the male or the female. The problem is the other person listening, and then listening with the intent to understand. And then in understanding, how do you move forward into action? And it's interesting because sometimes in communication, my thought process is you may sometimes have to ask the person, what did you hear? Because I'm finding that people tend to listen out of the hurt, out of the trauma, out of the anger, the frustration. And so if you're in a conversation with your spouse or your significant other, because maybe you're not married yet, or just in general, when you are conversing, and let's say you are expressing a grievance, and maybe the person on the other side of it is angry, argumentative, defensive, and it's because either they are listening out of a fact that you're always nitpicking, right? Listening out of a trauma. Maybe someone has always pointed out a flaw of theirs. And so when someone else points out a flaw, instead of actually hearing and understanding what that person is saying, it's almost like they're actually hearing the person that maybe scarred them in their past because of how it was told to them. So, for instance, I may be talking in the tone that I'm talking in now, but the person that's hearing me, they are hearing something that sounds familiar. So let's say I'm not pleased with something that they did. And in the past, when somebody wasn't pleased with what they did, they yelled at them. And because they were being yelled at, they didn't fully hear or even understand what the person's grievance was. So now in this present day, they are hearing what is being said, but taking it so to heart that they become defensive or argumentative, or it makes them feel low. But the person that's expressing their grievance or concern or whatever, they're not even speaking in a tone that would create anger, right? But the person on the receiving end of the grievance or the concern, etc., that's, they heard it differently. So I'm going to use myself as an example. So in my past, I've mentioned before that I was in an abusive situation. And so a lot of the times things were pointed out to me that I was not doing something, right? Versus doing something. So I was always not doing something. And in my present day, or let's say shortly after that situation, coming out of it, now somebody is like, oh, you didn't do this. And I was like, God, I could never get anything right. Right? They're not actually harping on me. They're not angry. They were just saying like, oh, you didn't do this. But because I'm coming out of this space, this place of trauma and hurt, I'm taking it out on them. But I don't even realize it. I'm not even conscious of it. Now, the other person might be conscious of it, but I'm not conscious of it. And they're like, wow, like I wasn't harping on you. I just was saying, oh, you didn't do it. It's fine. I don't mind doing it. And like for them, it's nothing. But for me, I took it to heart, and now I'm angry, and maybe I start going off on them. And now I'm probably just going off on everything. Or I walk away from them and they're like, we didn't finish having this conversation. What happened? And like the other person is confused because they're like, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings or anything. I didn't even speak in a tone that you should feel any kind of, attack or anything on your character or anything like that. But my level of communication is coming out of a place of hurt. And then I'm not even communicating because I'm allowing my emotions to take me to another place. I'm allowing, what you said to be like what you said is a trigger for me, and then now I'm going off. So I don't want to go too long off of that, but I think you get the idea. And so when I think about that, I'm like, wow, I understand more so now about communication, because I'm not the best at communicating. I will tell you right now, I'm still working on my ability to communicate. And if I'm honest, I think it's a ongoing thing, because unless you're like in the house all the time, unless you don't work for nobody, unless you don't be around people, excuse me, you're always going to have to reassess how you communicate, because now you're in spaces with other people that may not know how to communicate, and now you have to adjust to the fact that these people don't know how to communicate. Or maybe you're communicating with someone that is a really great communicator, and now you have to check yourself because you realize there's something that you're lacking in your communication, your ability to hear, your ability to properly respond. Like, think about it. I laugh because there was a day I was leaving work, and the lady that I was like, we were waiting for the elevator, but I was going down, she might have been going up, and she goes, have a great day, right? Or, oh no, she told me to get home safe. And I realized after the doors closed, I didn't even say you too. And the reason why I didn't, right? Because a lot of the times when we're like passing by someone or whatever, do you ever notice that somebody is like, hey, how you doing? And then you're like, I'm good. Wait, I'm thinking about this now. Hold on. I had a point. um Now I lost my point. But anyway, you have communication with people, and some people might say something to you, but the way you responded was actually inappropriate, because you assumed the next thing was gonna be like, I don't know, like yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind. I'll pick it back up somewhere. Anyway, anyway, yeah. So sometimes in communication, you miss the mark. You miss the mark in communication. I miss the mark in communication all the time. But what I wanted to bring the point of is that we need to listen more than we actually speak. And it's funny because I was actually like looking through the Bible. I had Googled like scriptures on listening, and there's one that I always recall hearing. And for context purposes, I don't think that this scripture was necessarily meant for what I'm about to talk about right now, but it can apply. So hold on a second, because I'm like on my laptop. And it's James 1:19. And the scripture says, "Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." And I can't help but to believe that even though this particular piece of scripture was more than likely for something else, and maybe I'll look back and kind of dive into that, but I feel like there's purpose in that, because there's a reason why we have to be quicker to hear, to listen, and slow to speak. When you are, maybe you've never heard the term, but a lot of the times people will say like, when you're arguing, no one hears each other. And it's true, because you're just rapid firing every grievance, every concern, everything you dislike. You're in the argument, right? So you want to be heard. The first thing is that you want to be heard, but so does the other person. And so how do we communicate well if we both want to be heard? One, we have to stop cutting each other off. I'm reminded of very recently, because this can happen too for someone. My managers recently changed, the person that I report to. And I actually already have a rapport with this person. And so when they were letting me know, like, yeah, you're going to be reporting to me now. Let's discuss some of the things that you think, could use some changing or improvement, XYZ. And I just rambled off, right? And he was trying to interject, and like, I found myself cutting him off. And I really try my best to not cut people off. Sometimes when you're in the middle of that thought, and if you're like me, sometimes you just need to get that thought out. Like, think about what I just did earlier, and I was trying to get this thought out, and then somehow I lost the thought, and it just went out the window, right? So So sometimes we want to just get everything we need to get out because we feel like we're going to forget, right? But we're not thinking about what the other person might be able to interject with, to help with, or whatever the case may be. And that made me laugh. Um, so, but I realized, so when I did finally realize what I did, which was after the call, I had to think to myself, why did I do that? Why was I so like basically vomiting on him all my thoughts, concerns, and like things that I think we can do? One, I was operating out of an emotion of frustration because this has been going on for so long and it's been talked about from other people amongst departments, but it has never gotten a resolve, and it almost feels like it's going on deaf ears. That was one thing, and I'm actually just realizing now during this video. The other thing, which was my number one point that particular day, was that I felt like I was being heard. I felt like I was being heard. Not that my other managers prior to this person did not hear me, and I don't know if it helped that I already had a very good rapport with this person, but I just felt like, oh my gosh, I'm comfortable with you. I can talk to you, and here's what I'm thinking, and just going on and on. Or maybe it actually was that he asked me that question versus other people haven't asked me that question because in some other areas maybe there was already a system in place, so there was nothing actually for me to improve. I don't know. But I did realize that I was almost like excited to have someone that I felt like I can talk to and I felt like they would hear me. So another thing that we should do is being conscious of why we're doing something. So let's say you did have a conversation with your friend, your mate, or whatever the case may be, and you come to the realization like, yo, I blasted them and I shouldn't have. Yes, apologize to them. Also, sit down with yourself and ask, why did you react that way? Because to me, with communication, you can have a reaction or you can have a response. Typically, for me, the reactions are a response, but they're the erratic response. They're when you blow up at somebody. It's you're reacting because it's more emotion that's pushing it versus responding, which is logic. So I can be angry about something, right? But I don't have to blast you. I can be angry about something, sit with it, and say, wow, I'm really angry about that. And it really pissed me off. But out of logic, out of sense, out of compassion, even, I can come to you and say to you, you know what? I felt like you did not care about how I felt about this situation. And it made me feel away. It made me feel angry. It made me feel this. And so, prime example, and maybe I'll put a picture up of what my hair looked like before today. So if you can see today, your girls curls are like popping. I need a haircut on my nap. You know, I'm even liking my little grays here. They're so tightly curled. But actually last year, might have been early last year, I asked my best friend to straighten my hair for me. And there's going to be a couple of things that I'm going to point out. So I asked her to straighten my hair for me, right? But on this particular day, I was being lazy, because I can call it out. I was being lazy, and I said I did not want to wash my hair. So I asked her, I said, do you think I need to wash my hair in order for you to straighten my hair? So she was like, no, I don't think so. I think you'll be fine. I'm like, okay, cool. Going against my own better judgment. But this is what I did. Now, context. I didn't want to wash my hair, and I had product in my hair. Actually, I had the very product in my hair that keeps my curls looking really nice. Now, these look a little old. Believe it or not, these are yesterday's curls. So it looks a little more like fresher and shinier when it's fresh. Anyway, I digress. So now we do that, and as any normal person would, at least for women, if you know when straightening your hair, sometimes you may spray like a heat protector, or sometimes you may spray a spritz. Well, in this case, she sprayed a spritz. Remember, I already have product in my hair because I did not wash my hair. And I've straightened my hair before and not experienced what I experienced this time around, and like been fine. So we do that. My hair is straightened, everything is great, blah blah blah. I wear it for like, I don't know, a week or so, because my natural hair, when it's ready, if I get too hot, sweaty or whatever, it goes out the window. Go to wash my hair, I'm like, I'm gonna get my curls back, because maybe this week I don't, I'm gonna just let my hair wash and go. And when I tell you guys, I went and washed my hair, and my hair was so dead. Dead. I mean dead. Dead. Not a curl, not a hook, not a nothing. Nada. And when I went to my best friend and I was like, oh my gosh, my hair's dead. Like it's got heat damage, this, that, and the third. Oh, let me back up a little bit. When she was spraying the stuff in my hair, I was like, I don't think you should spray that in my hair because I've already got product in my hair. But she didn't hear me. I wasn't talking super loud, but she wasn't listening, because when we had the conversation later, she didn't even hear me say it. But I know I said it because I was concerned about spraying the spritz when I knew I already had a product in my hair that I did not wash out. Anyway, so now I went to her and I was like, look at my hair, XYZ. Oh my God, it's dead. I told you. I asked you. I said, did you think it was going to be the product? And then I was like, and then you went spraying the stuff in my hair. And I told you I don't think that you should. And she was like, I didn't hear you say that. But she was so calm. Now, I wasn't yelling. I was like kind of like emotional more so. Like not yelling, but like, oh my God, look at my hair. But she was unmoved, unbothered. And that bothered me. So I left, I came downstairs, and I all of a sudden was livid. And for like, I think 24, 48 hours, I was sitting with that, and I was so angry. Like I was angry, like I wanted to yell angry, because I love my textured hair. Every now and again, I like to straighten it, but I love my textured hair. And the fact that my hair was completely dead, and I didn't even, it's not like I bleached my hair or something. I can understand that. But this hair, when I tell you every day I washed it, I got a, what do you call those shampoos? Like a clarifying shampoo. I was like, maybe it needs to be something that'll totally strip my hair of everything. But when I tell you, baby, whoo, all that product was just sealed in every strand of my hair. I was livid. But I had to sit in that for a little while because I did not want to go to my best friend, who I know did not do it intentionally, and it was my fault. I refused to wash my hair and thought that she knew best. So one, I had to take blame for what I okayed. And then two, I went to her and I let her know how I felt, because I am the person sometimes that will let things blow over. Like, it's fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. Blah, blah, blah. Until I blow up, which is not the way you should do things. And so I said to myself that I would start expressing when I feel a way about something. But however, when I express it, I have to express it the right way, not in an angry way. And coming out of an abusive situation, sometimes I wanted to blow up. Sometimes I wanted to just be angry because someone did that to me. And I never felt that I got the opportunity to really truly say, well, this is what occurred, before the person was like blasting me or looked at what I was saying as an excuse. So I went to my best friend and I said, you know, I really felt the way. I wasn't rude about it, but like I was kind of short. So I was like, I really felt the way that I said what I said about my hair, and you seem like you didn't care. And her response was, of course I care about your hair. Like, I cared about what, what happened, and I said what we could do about it, to help it, this and the third. And she did. She had she was the one that said what kind of shampoo maybe I should get to try to fix it. Now, she's not a hairstylist. She didn't go to cosmetology school. So I'm putting all this weight on her to know something just because I know she does like doing hair. Like, she'll do my hair, she'll do her own hair, she'll do my niece's hair, things like that. So but I was putting all this weight on her for her to know something that she never even went to school for. You know what I mean? So anyway, she did like express to me, no, I'm sorry you felt that way. That wasn't my intention. Of course I cared about your hair. I was making suggestions on what you can do. But what I was really mad at is that my curls were gone. And I had no idea when they were coming back. None. And at some point I'll put a picture up somewhere in this video for you to see what I recently, literally, a week ago, all the dead hair that I cut off because I had my hair in a protective style. If you guys recall some of the videos before this one, I had faux locks in, and my hair grew out significantly because I had it in so long, and it afforded me to grow my hair out enough that I felt comfortable to cut off all the dead hair so that I can get my lovely curls back. And I'm so excited that my curls are back. But yeah, so those are a couple examples of what I mean when communication really is key, and how you respond versus react matters. And you cannot have proper communication without proper listening. You just can't. And then not even just listening, because people have a way of listening with like they're hearing you, but they're not listening because they're just waiting for their turn to speak. Right? Like I said, both parties want to be heard. But even in you wanting to be heard, you have to listen to your partner too. You have to listen to who you're listening to, whether it's a boss, a co-worker, a friend, a parent, a relative, or whatever, your spouse, significant other, your children. And I'm pretty sure that in most cases, like when it comes to like parent to child, the parent is more so communicating, speaking, versus really listening to the child. But that's a whole other type of video. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of talk about this. I want you guys to keep James 1:19 in your mind when you communicate with whomever you're communicating with. Being quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. I think it's really important to be able to do that and be able to have proper communication with the person that you're speaking to, and for you to receive proper communication so that you can also be heard. Listen, we as a people need each other, but we're never going to be able to come together to do a thing, to be right with each other, if all the time we're just speaking and not listening. We can air out everything, speak on everything, but what are you actually listening to when the other person speaks? So keep in mind James 1:19. Be quick to hear, quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And I would love to hear from you guys. Put it down in the comments. What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let's get a dialogue going. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Also, just know I don't know everything about everything. I know a little about a little. And I come on here and I'm just being obedient to God's will over my life. And I pray that this word reaches whomever it needs to reach, and that it changes you and shifts you for you to be able to be a better communicator to whomever you need to communicate with. So I love you. I'm sending you love, life, and light in Christ, and I'll see you in the next video.